You're very dark. Have you got any light with you?
I can go get one, but wait there.
All right. Thank you.
Right, that'll warm up in a second.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and Jon Ponting in Cricklade. It is that time of the week again. Hello and welcome to Sheer Isolation. You've got myself, Jon Ponting, here in Cricklade. Kieran is back in Trowbridge this week. You are not at work. It's nice to see.
I'm back in Trowbridge for the time being because I'm working from home, which is delightful.
So how does a sound engineer work from home?
Oh, I'm glad you've asked, John. A sound engineer works from home because he doesn't do any sound engineering. I'm so useful, John, and I'm so accommodating, and I say yes to everything that people go, oh, Kieran will do it. Kieran's great. We'll get Kieran to do it. And so I end up being involved in everybody else's project. So I'm basically everyone's lackey now.
Coming up in the next half hour, we'll be talking to a guest as ever. We look for different angles and different people who work in the entertainment industry. This week, we're joined by Michael Loader, who is a storyteller, professional storyteller. It's another part of the entertainment industry that we haven't covered so far, and we're going to talk to him about how you get into that and how his year's been coping. And here's our first guest to pick a track from Palestine. We'll be playing some, is it fair to say Palestinian pop? I'm not sure what classes as pop in Palestine. That's coming
It's
up
a
later.
weird one, isn't it? It's an interesting one because in the West, in Europe, in England, we call any music that's basically not the associated norms, we just call it world music, and we lump everything in under the umbrella term world music. But if you go anywhere else in the world, it's just called music.
And we've got a new track from a local artist this week, Kieran.
Yes, so it's the first artist repeat since we started. And we've got a brand new song from Jon Amor. It is so new. This video is only 6 days old on YouTube. So it is literally fresh off the press, as it were. It's a song called Robot Skin. And what I love about Jon Amor, he's a local musician, local legend and all that jazz. But particularly, he's a blues musician. He's blues through and through. He is the blues. You cut him, he'll just bleed blues. And what he's done with this new song is he's taken all the traditional tropes of blues, a little bit of slide, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And he's put it through like a pop disco filter. Got some big squelchy keyboards. It's just a big song. It sounds fun. I don't know how he manages it, but he always makes really good videos on a budget, on like literally nothing, shot on an iPhone type job.
Over the previous 37 episodes of Sheer Isolation, we have not repeated a single artist once. You are now opening the floodgates for that.
Well, yes. Actually, I want to put a shout out there. There's loads of great bands that are doing the rounds. Concrete Prairie are a really good example. They're a four-piece, kind of acoustic-y, kind of country-ish band. They're great. Not a single decent, usable video. And Jon Amor has just shown us how easy it is to make a really effective, fun video on your iPhone from your house. So my challenge out there is to all bands who don't have a video, create something fun in your living room and just whack it on YouTube, because it will get you views and get your music heard. Doesn't matter how good or bad you think it is. Videos are really important, and you can do it with anything you've got, literally anything.
Well, this is the track then, Robot Skin, fresh off the press from Jon Amor.
Sit tight so you don't make trouble. Clipping your wings, do the same things. Put it on repeat until the time bell rings. And you don't see when you're covered in rust. Living only just to do what you must. Look back but don't stare, it'll get you nowhere that you want to be. You want to be free to breathe.
The grass has grown, resigned to die beneath my frozen feet. The time has come for moving on and break out of repeat and shed my robot skin, shed my robot skin.
can't see the sun, if you're praying that the rain don't come, if you shut your eyes, catastrophize, all the good stuff will pass you by. Free will isn't doing what you want, free will is just choosing how you're gonna respond to the contract of life, the strife, the bullet and the knife. Call it what you will, it's not a drill. What you're thinking is food for what you feel, and what you feel is gonna make your dreams real. Seal that deal. You can only give what you got, but that's a lot. You're giving what you're taking from the sweet spot. What you don't know about faith, you don't know about fear, but it's clear one or the other's gonna get you right here. And everything I used to be, I choose to be or not. Build another robot.
The sun has turned its tail and fled and moved on through the stars. I've changed my lights to green from red and set my sights afar and shed my robot skin. Shed my robot skin.
And it's a doozy of a song. I really like that. It's the sort of song where how the hell is he going to play that live?
So that is Robot Skin, which is the new track from Jon Amor, available on YouTube, and I'm guessing it's available to buy and purchase in other places.
He's got a brand new album out on CD. You can purchase it. I haven't yet, but I will.
Fine. Good. Do you have any product placement for us to talk about this week?
There's an American musician called Chris Farron. He's in a bunch of bands like what they called Fake Problems was the big one, and then he went and did some other band stuff after that band. And he played in Devizes, and he played to like 10 people, and it was a night where we had the Lantern Parade in Devizes. And so this American guy's turned up. He can't get anywhere near the venue because the town is packed with people. Battled through the crowd, come and did the gig, and only 10 people came, and it was just the most anticlimactic thing. We loved the show. We thought it was brilliant, but basically everybody that normally comes to the gigs had their kids out in town. They couldn't stay out for the night. And Dan Buckingham absolutely loves him. He's completely obsessed with him. He's got this giant flag that's like 10 foot by 10 foot, massive, big picture of his face. And his latest solo album is called Born Hot. And so some American company contacted them, say, look, we make hot sauces for celebrities. Do you want an endorsement? We'll make you a hot sauce for Born Hot. So Chris Farron said, yeah, of course I do. That'd be amazing. This hot sauce came up on my timeline and I bought it for Dan. Luckily, Dan didn't buy it. He felt that it was too expensive to import it from America because it was like $11 to buy the hot sauce and like $15 to import it. But I did. There you go, Dan. That's how much I love you.
That's what happens when you can't spend your money on gigs, isn't it? You just spend it on frivolous things like hot sauce.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that, Kieran. It is time for us to get on to this week's guest, who we mentioned in the opening league. It's a chap called Michael Loder, who's down Somerset way. And he is a professional storyteller. So he goes off to schools, he goes off to festivals, goes to care homes. And his entire set is he's basically a one-man band, putting on different voices, getting the crowd involved, telling all kinds of different stories from folklore, original stuff. And just like every other musician, performer, poet in the world, he's had a year kind of sat at home, not been able to do much. So we thought we'd just get in touch with him, see how he's been getting on.
I mean, I may tell traditional stories, which people know around the world. Or I may create stories in the moment very spontaneously with the help of people as well. Or I may, over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've been writing my own stories. There are lots of wonderful, lovely stories out there, but sometimes when you can't find the one that you really want to tell, you think, well, it must be inside yourself. So I have been writing a lot more. And I gave myself a new task to actually not only write it, but then learn it word for word.
Oh,
So
crikey.
it's been a bit bonkers. So I'm sort of conceiving it, writing it, editing it, learning it, performing it.
How close is writing stories to comedy? Because a lot of the time when you watch a comedian, they'll take you on a journey. They'll take you on a story. They're normally quite short stories with a punchline, but they take you on this journey and they explain, and then they get to the joke.
Yeah, I mean,
Could you be a comedian?
Could I be a comedian? Well, I have made some people laugh in my life. You know, not many. I can make myself laugh quite easily when I look in the mirror. You know.
Oh, I can do that too.
But when I'm writing a story, I guess I'm thinking of giving it an emotional balance. So obviously humour, I think, really needs to come into that. I remember actually, because when I did my teacher training, well, before I did my teacher training, in my interview, back in 1983, one of the questions was, do you think it's important to bring humour into teaching? And it's like, well, of course. I mean,
was that the wrong answer?
why wouldn't you? And if it's the wrong answer for you, it's the right answer for me. You know.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have fun, haven't you? This story I told, wrote, it's very much about a young boy. It was a bit inspired by the poetry of Ted Hughes. I really got to his poetry this year. Read a bit about his life and realised had a very, very dark life.
Yes.
But I went back to his childhood, and he had an elder brother. I'm an older brother of my younger brother, and things were starting to come out. It enabled me to go back to my childhood, so I put a bit of that into the story. I went up to Yorkshire, where Ted Hughes was born, had a little sort of walk around in his footsteps, got lost on the moors, which
lovely. I've done that.
really,
it's lovely, amazing part of the world.
Yeah, and bringing those different elements together, and fell in love with crows as well. I don't know if you've read Ted Hughes's poetry, but he wrote a whole book about crow.
Mike,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you about the story that you've been learning, because I know you said that you've been learning your entire story. How long a performance have you put into your mind? How many words have you actually had to take on?
It's sort of, I could tell you, it's 5 pages of A4. I was telling it, I've sort of shortened it down, just by a sort of, it's basically 4 days, 2 days at school for this boy, and then a weekend, and then off to the moors for his adventure. On the Saturday, he has a sort of an adventure which doesn't really quite work, so he comes back. His big brother lets him down. So Saturday morning, his big brother, Jerry, says, Teddy, so how do you want to go? Do you want to go for an adventure tonight? Who wants to go camping in the woods with a fire and scary stories? Yeah, I do. I want to come. Yeah. You promise, big brother? Yeah, of course I'll promise, you know. But then he lets him down Saturday night because his elder brother goes out with his girlfriend, who's changed her mind. Well, why didn't you change your mind? You know, you would choose your girlfriend over me. I'm sorry, but, you know, you'll understand when you're older, when you've got a girlfriend. I don't want to get old, and I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want a brother like you. So he then goes off for a little sort of adventure, but doesn't get very far. His brother finds out in the morning. And then this young boy, Teddy's really sort of stoked up that I hate my brother. And I came across this idea of a song, and I think it was just coming back to your humorous thing. I don't know, it might make you laugh or might not, but Teddy goes off to his tree house with a plate full of eggs and bacon from breakfast because his brother's caught him out, saying, so did you go to the woods and go camping? Yes, I did, without you as well. Oh, that's strange, because Mum said you were in bed at 6 o'clock this morning. Teddy goes off to the tree house, gets on his black wool hat, pulls out his black woolen scarf. And then he starts, you know, if you got a brother, then peck out his eyes, peck out his eyes, peck out his eyes. If you got a brother, then peck out his eyes, pick, peck, pluck. And the kids have been enjoying that, you know.
You can't help
and
but
then
smile when you put those characters into actual action. You can't help but smile, can you, Kieran? It's just a
No, of course
natural,
not. No.
fascinating.
There's an almost Roald Dahl-esqueness to it.
yeah, well, yes, I love Roald Dahl's work. I did bump into him when I was actually at college down in Winchester, teacher training, and they had set him up in this sports hall on this, very tall sort of dais, plinth, and he was up on this chair, and he sort of looked like the BFG or something, and we were all lining up, and then we got closer and closer and closer, and he sort of signed the book and everything. And but yeah, I love Roald Dahl. I love that. Some of that sort of the monstrous characters. Trunchbull from Matilda.
Yeah.
Do you know her, the teacher?
Yeah, I understood very well.
Fantastic. So yeah. I mean, I think for this story, I sort of kept it in a naturalistic world, but it sort of also inspired a bit by Teddy has a granny, and Granny is a teller of tales, of screaming banshees and barnacled whales, of adventurous daring do, all about me and all about you too. Yeah. And then she rattles off these tales at midnight, not midnight, after tea for Teddy, and he has to, go to bed and check under the bed that there are no bog monsters or witches lurking underneath there.
Nice.
And yeah.
It's also not far off poetry, really, either, is it? That spoken word, that delivery, especially what you were doing just then. I almost felt a little bit of performance poetry in that as well.
Yeah, well, I've been influenced by poetry a bit more this year, and I did write a show called Dylan's Invisible Friend a couple of years ago, which we've tried to put on twice this year, but lockdown has caught us both times. So hopefully next year. But that was inspired by going down to Wales and bumping into Dylan Thomas, as you do on the coast of Wales. So I started reading his poetry and got a flavour and a feeling for that. And that's what I like doing every time I write a new show to perform, is to bring along a new challenge for myself.
I'll come on to the final question, which was about the song that you've picked, Michael, which is Abu Samra by Zaid Hilal.
Well done. Nice pronunciation. Yeah.
You googled it first. It's all right.
Yeah, I have written it down. I have written this down. I'm rubbish with pronunciation normally. Kieran always pulls me up. But you said this is a guy in Bethlehem, all right, in that part of the world, who you're a very close friend with. So tell us a story about that.
Yeah, well, a wonderful friend of mine, David Moat, who's a jazz trumpeter, and plays music mainly in Bristol, but around. He got some British Council funding in 2018 to take a group over to Palestine and Israel with a show all about the Balfour Declaration, basically how the British, messed it all up. The way that we were invited and welcomed and looked after was quite extraordinary. And
really,
people would ask, where are you from? England, Britain, British, whatever. And you sort of wait and wonder what's going to happen, but their politeness was extraordinary. And and Zaid was part of the project. We met him over there in 2018. He came back 2018 for a tour, and then came back in 2019. I went back 2019 with a sort of a story gathering project to really, because we took a show the first time, so it's very much us, sort of giving to them, as it were. But the second year, I thought, there are so many stories to bring back about, what is really going on, which is, it's beyond words. It's beyond words, really. It's unreal. It's unreal.
The song itself is quite a somber sounding song, isn't it? It's quite slow and somber.
Yes. Well, this was inspired by a meeting with a woman called Vivienne Sansour, and she's somebody who has this heirloom seed bank. So she's trying to preserve and reuse all the original sort of old Arabic seeds, etc., because with new technology coming in and new ways of buying things, you know, it's like that, like Amazon will rule the world type of thing, you know. The only things you can buy are what we've got.
Yeah.
So she was out there to really save some stuff. She told us a story all about this seed called Abu Samra, a wheat. And Abu Samra is actually personified as sort of a striking man with tall black hair. And the wheat variety has this sort of these white, black fronds on it. So there's a whole story she told us. Zaid was there, we were chipping in, he was thinking, right. And then she and he got together, created, you know, more and more and more. And then he created this song, which he has performed over here. And it, my goodness, I was listening to it today, and I have to, well, hold back the tears or not hold back the tears, because the passion in his song is extraordinary. And the story is that the Abu Samra seed was lost. And this Vivienne,
Wow.
actually found it again from some farmers. So it's back being ploughed into the land again now.
Amazing.
أبو سمراء يا أبو عيون الكحلة، غيابك والله معذبنا. أيام الماضي وستي وخبزاته اللي ما في من أحلام. يا أبو سمراء يا أبو عيون الكحلة، غيابك والله معذبنا. أيام الماضي وستي وخبزاته اللي ما في من أحلام. إذا الأمل محجوب والشمس بتموت والطير سجين حزين، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. إذا الطفل بجوع والشر بسود والحكي صار بارود، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. إذا الأمل محجوب والشمس حزين، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. إذا الطفل بجوع والشر بسود والحكي صار بارود، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. أبو سمرة يا أبو عيون الكحلة، غيابك والله معذبنا. أيام الماضي وستي وخبزاته اللي ما فيه من أحلام. إذا الدمع محبوس والدم ملموس والخوف كبر عجوز، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. إذا الحبيب بعيد ولا سر ضمير ولا من سره عميل، أبو سمرة فينا موجود. إذا الدمع محبوس
track is called Abu Samra by Zaid Hilal, and that was Michael's choice of track, one that he's worked with in the past.
And I think, we're going back to what we said earlier about world music. I think it's really important that we listen and we hear things outside of our usual bubble, because I would never have just picked a CD like that off the shelf and given it a listen. But actually, it's just fun. It is genuinely high standard music, really high standard playing and craftsmanship. It's just not what I would normally listen to, and is in fact absolutely fantastic. So despite having this song that's not on people's usual radars, hopefully they've heard that and have had a little glimpse into an entirely different world.
Yeah. And if you did like that, what you can do is find Sheer Isolation on YouTube if you're not there already. Go to our playlist where we have listed every single track that we've ever played. Scroll down to the bottom where this track will be at time of recording, and then you can then find the full library from Zaid. Okay, time for some news. Kieran, have you got any news to talk of this week?
I've been asked to programme some events at Trowbridge Town Hall. The director there said we've had to push back our events, obviously, because of the new lockdown. We were planning on opening in January, doing some stuff in February, right the way through to March, all social distance. That was the plan. It's just not going to happen. He said, right, okay, then let's push everything back and let's now focus on Easter weekend. Let's do a big event on Easter weekend. So I put this chat out on Facebook, and the overwhelming response was, we would love to come, but it's probably too soon. And I think that's really interesting, because up until this point, I think people have been open to the suggestion of going out and doing stuff. Like 6 months was enough, that's it. I can start going out again now. I think I'm pretty confident where we're at. The subsequent lockdown, I've seen a change in people's thought process where they're going, let's just knock it on the head. Let's just we'll do whatever we have to do to just see this through and just kill it.
I think there's really good logic in there that while cases are increasing, there's no point in putting anything in all. There's no over the hump and seeing what's at the bottom of the hill. So we need to be getting cases down, which at the moment, particularly around in the cities, Swindon especially, really high at the moment. So everyone stay safe out there. I did find another piece of news which relates back to our show last week when we were talking to Nick Gibbs, who was talking about musicians travelling into the EU post-Brexit. Piece on the BBC following very similar lines, saying how pressure is mounting on the UK government to resolve the EU touring visa situation for musicians. There's a political campaign that's got over 250,000 signatories so far, just telling the UK and the EU to sort something out so musicians can have easier access, both for us to go to the EU and vice versa.
That this was actually offered during negotiation for Brexit, and the government turned it down. So that was wonderful of them, wasn't it? But beyond that, I do know that obviously it's highly supported. Any arrangement has to be reciprocal, so it has to work both ways. And I believe that the dates is only 90 days, so it's not a huge time you can be there, 3 months. So you can potentially go on it completely visa-free, as it were, for 3 months, do whatever you need to do and come back.
Get onto YouTube or your streaming platform of choice, where you can just go back and listen to all of our episodes. There are 38 of them up there now, all different guests, all different music. Us two and everyone, unfortunately, but you can't have everything that you wish for. sheerisolation@gmail.com if you want to email us some tracks or some ideas for any content for future episodes. That will always be appreciated. We do, even if we don't reply straight away, they are going into a pot of songs, and we will eventually get around to featuring them.
We have a few in there that we could go to. I'm more waiting for an appropriate time to play it more than anything else. So
he's being mysterious. Ooh.
No, it's just, somehow, like, sometimes if you have something totally jarring that it really wouldn't work, there's no point. Or I'm just waiting for an appropriate moment to play that particular song because it works with what else is going on in the show.
Yeah.
Just the production values, that's all. I'm just thinking about how this all works together.
Such a professional, mate.
Cool. You are, I'm not.
Nah. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for watching us. We will be back same time next week, and we will leave it at that. So enjoy your week. Stay safe out there, because it does seem to be quite hectic. Follow your lockdown rules and be sensible. Cheers then, Kieran. Speak next week.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Thanks
Bye.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. I think we'll leave it at that. We don't get too political.
Unless your beliefs are Tory, then don't just
I
be more.
I just said we won't get political.
You can cut that bit out.